The atmosphere in the boutique was laden with the fragrance of jasmine and privilege, a cloying mix of affluence. "Madam, I've already explained," the supervisor said, his voice sharp yet cloaked in courtesy. "We don't allow inspection of display models." He glanced at Dr. Elena Patel's simple linen dress and worn sandals, his gaze lingering on the gentle curve of her pregnant belly. The implication was clear: she wasn't a customer, but a bother. Elena stood firm, exhausted yet resolute. The polished granite floors of Infant Elegance on Madison Avenue reflected a distorted version of Elena, a woman who didn't fit in. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating dust particles dancing over exorbitantly priced cribs crafted from Nordic oak and strollers upholstered in French suede. This was a sanctuary for Manhattan's unborn elite. Elena, 6 months pregnant and weary from a 12-hour shift, felt like an outsider in this opulent shrine. All she wanted was the safe ride elite car seat, a necessity, not a luxury. As a pediatric neurologist, she had witnessed the tragic outcomes of inadequate infant safety equipment. This model boasted superior side impact protection and a stabilizing leg that reduced crash forces by up to 30%. She had spent weeks researching it during breaks between patient visits and late-night academic papers. It was the safest option, the best choice for her baby. But the supervisor, whose name tag read James Carter, store manager, saw only a South Asian woman with weary eyes, her hair tied back in a practical, slightly messy ponytail, wearing a dress from a discount retailer. To him, she was someone meddling with merchandise she didn't belong near. As I've said, James interjected, stepping between her and the display, his body a physical barrier. "This is our last unit, and it's reserved." Elena took a deep breath, suppressing her rising frustration. "Reserved? I called this morning. Your staff member, Lisa, confirmed you had 2 in stock and I could come to see one." James offered a smile that didn't reach his icy gray eyes. "Lisa is new. She makes mistakes. This one is reserved for Mrs. Harrington, whose husband is a Broadway producer. They're particular about their purchases." He leaned closer, his tone conspiratorial. "We can't have just anyone handling items meant for our elite clientele." The humiliation burned, a flush creeping up Elena's neck. Just anyone. The words hung heavy, cutting deep. She wasn't a doctor who mended fragile brains. She wasn't a woman who had endured grueling years of medical school and residency. To him, she was merely a brown woman in a cheap dress, presumably untrustworthy and penniless. "I'm not just handling it," Elena said, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. "I'm a paying customer. I want to buy it. A boxed one will do." James's thin veneer of patience cracked. He crossed his arms, puffing out his chest. "We don't have a boxed one, and frankly, madam, this is a 4-figure car seat. Perhaps I can show you something more suited to your budget. We have an excellent range of budget baby products in the back." The condescension was suffocating, dismissing her like an unwanted pest. Every instinct urged Elena to leave, to take her money where her worth wasn't judged by her attire. But this wasn't just about her. It was about principle, about the relentless battle against the daily slights of prejudice, and about securing the safest car seat for her baby. "My budget isn't your concern," she said, her tone firm. "Your employee and your inventory system indicated this item was available. I drove 45 minutes from the hospital to be here. I want to buy it." A mother with a stroller full of shopping bags paused, her eyes wide with curiosity. A young couple browsing baby clothes glanced over, sensing the rising tension. The boutique, once a serene haven of wealth, had become a stage, with James casting Elena as the antagonist. "Madam, please lower your voice," he hissed, his face reddening. "You're causing a disturbance." "I'm not the one causing a disturbance," Elena countered, her voice calm but edged with steel. "I'm a pregnant woman trying to buy a car seat, and you're treating me like a thief based on baseless assumptions." He scoffed, a harsh, dismissive sound. "Oh, I see. It's one of those ploys. You make a fuss, hoping for a discount. That won't work here." Just then, the grand glass doors of Infant Elegance chimed, signaling a new arrival. Elena's gaze, a mix of anger and exhaustion, flicked toward the entrance, and her breath caught. It was Michael, her ex-husband, Michael Lee. He looked unchanged, impeccable in a tailored suit, his hair perfectly styled, exuding effortless confidence as he spoke into his phone. He hadn't noticed her yet, strolling in as the epitome of the store's ideal patron. In that moment, as her past collided with her humiliating present, Elena felt the ground shift beneath her. Of all places, of all times. The injustice, James's prejudice, the public shaming, and now the specter of her failed marriage standing 10 feet away, felt like a crushing weight on her chest, right above the child Michael would never know was his. Michael ended his call with a brisk, "Close the deal. I'll be there in 20. He slipped his phone into his Armani jacket, scanning the boutique. He was there for a last-minute gift for his cousin's baby shower, expecting quick, deferential service. He didn't anticipate a confrontation. He saw the manager, a flustered man with a strained collar, facing off against a woman whose back was to him. A small crowd of shoppers pretended not to watch. Michael's instinct, sharpened by years in high-stakes finance, was to sidestep the drama, grab an expensive cashmere blanket, and leave. But then the woman spoke, her voice hooking into his memory, a quiet, authoritative tone he once knew intimately. "My budget isn't your concern." Michael froze. It couldn't be. He shifted slightly, catching her profile. The defined jaw, the graceful neck, the sharp, indignant eyes. Elena. It hit like a blow to the chest. 6 months since the divorce was finalized, since he'd last seen her, diminished in a cold conference room. He'd told himself it was for the best. Her career obsession, her refusal to consider a family, an irreconcilable difference. He wanted a partner, a wife, a mother for his children. She seemed to live for the hospital. Yet seeing her now sparked a raw, unprocessed emotion, regret, perhaps, or nostalgia. He wasn't sure. Then his gaze dropped to the unmistakable curve of her belly. The baby. The world tilted. His breath stopped, his lungs heavy. Pregnant. Elena was pregnant. The word echoed in his mind. His thoughts raced, calculating timelines. 6 months since the divorce, and she was visibly 5 or 6 months along. The math was merciless, pointing to a truth he couldn't face. The baby was his. His legs wavered. He gripped a display table, his knuckles pale. A silver rattle beneath his hand felt cold. He stood, a bystander to a drama now deeply personal. James, unaware of the revelation shattering Michael's world, pressed on. "Madam, lower your voice," he snapped. Elena's response was measured, but Michael saw the tension in her posture, a stance he recognized from her toughest moments. James's next words struck like a blow. "You come in, make a scene, hoping for a discount." Rage, protective and fierce, surged through Michael. How dare this man speak to her like that? To Elena, the most brilliant, caring person he'd known, who likely earned triple his salary saving lives. Without thinking, Michael strode forward, his steps resounding on the granite. "Is there a problem?" he asked, his voice low and menacing. James turned, his expression shifting from disdain for Elena to deference for Michael's suit. "Sir, no problem. This lady was just leaving." Elena's head whipped around, her eyes meeting Michael's. For a moment, her composure faltered, shock, pain, and exhaustion flickered before a neutral mask settled. "Michael," she said flatly, "what are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same," he replied, his gaze drawn to her belly, an undeniable pull. His child was there. Ignoring her question, Elena faced James again. "I'm not leaving. I'm here to buy the Safe Ride Elite." Michael reached for his wallet, a reflex to solve problems with money. "Whatever the issue, I'll cover it. Elena, how much is it?" He thought he was helping, playing the hero to spare her this ordeal. He was wrong. Elena's eyes blazed with a fury he hadn't seen since their worst arguments. "Don't you dare," she hissed, trembling with anger. "You have no idea what's happening here." She wasn't just talking about the car seat. It was their marriage, the divorce, the baby. His attempt to fix things had aligned him with her accuser, reinforcing James's assumption she couldn't afford it. The rift between them, opened 6 months ago, widened into a chasm, with the truth of her child at its core. The silence after Elena's words was palpable, pulsing with their unspoken history and his misstep. James looked between them, confusion giving way to smug certainty, a lover's spat, in his mind, confirming his narrative. For Elena, Michael's presence was a cruel twist. Seeing him, so polished and assured, reminded her of the life she tried to build and the man who dismissed her calling as a hobby. Their marriage had unraveled gradually, torn by clashing worlds. Michael's life revolved around stock markets and boardrooms. He saw everything as transactions. Elena's was defined by brain scans and delicate surgeries, the quiet victories of saving children. "When will you stop playing doctor and be a wife?" he'd once asked after she missed a client dinner, exhausted from a 10-hour surgery. The words had stunned her. "Playing doctor. Michael, I reconstructed a child's neural pathways today. That's not a game." "It's all you care about," he'd retorted. "Your patients, the hospital. What about us? What about a family? My parents want grandchildren. Our friends are all having kids. We're lagging." Lagging, as if life were a competition with milestones like marriage and children. She tried to explain her career wasn't a choice but her essence, a vow, not a stock pick. He couldn't grasp a commitment without a financial return. Their arguments grew bitter. He saw her dedication as rejection. She saw his demands as a denial of her soul. The end came quietly with legal documents. Michael was generous with money, giving her the apartment, a hefty settlement, but not with respect. 2 weeks after he left, Elena collapsed in a hospital corridor. A blood test revealed she was 8 weeks pregnant, a final piece of their broken bond. Alone in the nursery they'd fought over, holding the positive test, she wept, not from sorrow, but from fierce joy. This child was hers, not a transaction or a social obligation. She didn't tell Michael, not out of spite, but to protect her peace. Her baby would grow in love, not expectation. Now, in infant elegance's harsh light, with Michael's shocked eyes on her belly and his wallet out, her carefully guarded world shattered. His offer to pay echoed his transactional mindset, trying to manage a liability, not defend her honor. She straightened, her anger a sharp, clear flame. "I don't need your money, Michael. I never did." Turning from him, she faced James. "Let's be clear. she said, her voice commanding, like in the operating room. I'm Dr. Elena Patel, pediatric neurologist at Columbia Medical Center. I'm here to buy the safest car seat for my child, based on extensive research. I'm not causing a scene. I'm trying to complete a purchase, and you're obstructing it with what I can only assume is misogyny and racial bias. Her words were precise, devastating. Shoppers stared, some recording discreetly. James's face paled, unprepared for this articulate dismantling. You have two options, Elena continued, her voice low but fierce. Sell me the car seat your store has in stock as required by law, or refuse, and I'll file complaints with the Better Business Bureau, the New York Department of Consumer Affairs, and contacts I made after saving a senator's daughter. Your choice. James's jaw twitched, cornered but defiant. Security, he stammered. I need security at the front. We have a disruptive person refusing to leave. His call for security turned the standoff into a spectacle, painting Elena as a threat. A burly guard in a navy blazer, name tag reading Tony, appeared, his expression bored. What's the issue, James? He grunted. This woman, James said, pointing shakily at Elena, is harassing me and customers. Escort her out. Elena stood firm, arms crossed protectively over her belly, a surreal calm settling over her. Here she was, a healer, branded a danger for trying to buy safety gear for her child. Michael, shaken from his stupor, stepped forward. This is a misunderstanding. She's not harassing anyone. Just sell her the car seat. James turned on him, his fear turning to aggression. Sir, this is an internal matter. Step back. We have procedures. Loudly, he added, we get people like her all the time, trying to return stolen goods or cause a scene for a handout. Classic scam. The words, dripping with venom, stripped Elena of her identity, reducing her to a stereotype, a brown woman in a world valuing whiteness, a modestly dressed person in a luxury haven. A young woman filming nearby gasped. That's outrageous, she muttered. Tony looked uneasy, not expecting this level of ugliness. Ma'am, maybe come with me outside, he said softly. I'm not going anywhere, Elena replied, her voice quiet but unyielding. You've accused me of fraud in front of witnesses, defaming me. This is beyond a customer service issue. Michael, seeing the recording phones and shocked faces, sensed a PR disaster. James, de-escalate this now. You don't know who she is. But James, his authority challenged, saw Michael as a fool. Sir, I'll have you removed too, he blustered, then to Tony, get her out. Call the NYPD if needed. The threat of police was absurd, arrested for shopping while pregnant, while brown. Tony reached out, not to grab but to placate. Ma'am, please. Before he could touch her, a sharp voice cut through. What in heaven's name is happening in my store? Heads turned. A woman in her late 50s, dressed in a tailored Dior suit, her silver hair in a sleek bob, stood in the stockroom doorway. Her expression radiated profound displeasure. James's jaw dropped, his face ashen. Mrs. Lauren, I didn't know you were here, he stammered. Claire Lauren, the owner, ignored him, her sharp eyes scanning the scene, the hesitant guard, gawking customers, the suited man looking lost, and the pregnant woman standing with unyielding dignity. Her gaze settled on Elena, confusion turning to recognition, then shock. Dr. Patel, is that you? She said, her voice softening. Elena felt relief so strong it nearly buckled her knees. Claire, she smiled faintly. Hello. Claire strode forward, ignoring James and Tony, and took Elena's hands. "My dear, what are you doing here?" Seeing Elena's belly, her face lit up. "Oh, this is wonderful. You didn't mention at our last visit." Claire's gaze turned icy as she faced James. "Explain why my employee is trying to remove one of the finest pediatric neurologists in the country from my store, a doctor to whom I owe everything." Claire wasn't just a customer, she was the founder of Infant Elegance International. James looked faint, realizing he'd humiliated the doctor who'd saved his boss's grandchild. Michael was stunned. He knew Claire Lawrence's name from luxury retail but hadn't connected her to Elena, who rarely discussed her patients' families. He'd seen her work as schedules, not human bonds. "I'm waiting," Claire said icily. "Mrs. Lauren, it was a misunderstanding," James stammered. "She was aggressive, demanding." "Demanding what?" Claire snapped. "To be treated with respect? To buy an item in stock." She turned to Elena. "What did you want?" "The Safe Ride Elite," Elena said. "I was told it was reserved, that I couldn't afford it, and that I was likely scamming." Claire's eyes narrowed. "The Harrington's car seat was delivered yesterday. I oversaw it. That display model is for sale." James's incompetence was exposed. He'd lied for no reason but to feel powerful. "Tony," Claire said sharply. The guard snapped to attention. "Get the termination paperwork and a water for Dr. Patel." Tony, relieved, scurried off, pitying James. Claire faced her manager. "You've been the face of my brand for 3 years, James. I trusted you to uphold our values: quality, safety, service for all. Today, you've shown you're incapable, judging a woman by her race and clothing, humiliating and lying to her, Dr. Patel, who saved my grandson's life." Her voice grew personal. 2 years ago, my grandson Noah had a brain defect. Doctors said he wouldn't survive. Then we found Elena. She spent 10 hours in surgery, giving him a future, giving my daughter her son, me my grandson. Tears glistened in Claire's eyes. "When you insult her, you insult my family, the reason I can work without grief. You're done." Her quiet fury was devastating. James stood, stripped of authority, a hollow man. Michael watched, realizing he'd never truly seen Elena, the miracle worker, not just his ex-wife. He'd left her, thinking she wasn't enough, but he was the unworthy one. Tony returned with the paperwork and water, avoiding James's gaze. Claire placed the clipboard on the counter. "My office now," she told James, then turned to the staff. "Lisa, get a boxed Safe Ride Elite. Peter, ring it up on the house. Add this," Elena said, picking up a soft stuffed giraffe, reclaiming her agency. "Of course," Claire said, respecting Elena's choice. "Peter, use my card for the car seat." As James shuffled to the office, Claire addressed the crowd. "I apologize for what you've witnessed. This behavior is unacceptable and against everything Infant Elegance stands for. We're closing today to address this. Thank you for your understanding." Shoppers left, buzzing with the story. Helena, Claire, and Michael remained in tense silence. Claire led Elena to a cushioned chair. "Sit, you've been standing too long. Anything else?" "Tea." "The water's fine," Elena said, sinking down, exhaustion replacing adrenaline. Michael stood awkwardly, an outsider to the bond between Elena and Claire. He wanted to speak, to fix the unfixable, but words failed. Claire turned to him, her tone cool. "And you are?" "He's my ex-husband, Michael Lee," Elena said flatly. Claire's eyebrows rose, her glance judging him lacking. "I see," she said, turning back to Elena. Are you all right? That was disgraceful. I'm okay, Elena said, touching her belly. He's kicking. He's angry too. Claire laughed warmly. Like his mother. Noah's a fighter too. She looked at Elena with affection. My family owes you everything. For this to happen in my store, I'm mortified. It's not your fault, Elena said. It's systemic. James is just a symptom. Perhaps, Claire replied, but you treat diseases by addressing symptoms. James's pleading voice echoed from the office, met by Claire's firm tones. Peter brought the car seat and giraffe, processing the sale. The receipt felt like a triumph for Elena. Michael broke his silence, his voice raw. Elena, the baby, is it? She met his gaze, owing him nothing but choosing truth. The divorce was finalized 194 days ago. Do the math. Michael broke, a sob escaping as he stumbled back, hand over mouth. The truth shattered him, his child, the family he'd left for. He sank onto a chair, head in hands, his suit a mockery of his broken state. Elena felt grim satisfaction but no joy. His pain didn't erase hers. Claire returned, having fired James. Tony will load the car seat. I've spoken to my team. We're not just firing James. This is a wake-up call. Starting Monday, all staff will undergo diversity training. And I want to partner with your department at Columbia to fund the Noah project, providing baby gear to underprivileged families. Elena was stunned. Her ordeal had sparked change. That's incredible, Claire. It's necessary, Claire said. A young woman, Emma, a journalism student, approached. I filmed everything. I was going to post it, but your response is the real story. Change, not just prejudice. Can I have the video for an exclusive interview? Claire smiled. That can be arranged. Outside, Tony loaded the car seat into Elena's modest Honda. She said goodbye to Claire, ignoring Michael's tearful approach. Elena, I'm sorry for everything the last 2 years. I was a fool. Yes, she said, neither kind nor cruel. You were. Can we talk? About the baby, our baby? This isn't about what you can give, she said, hand on her belly. He's my son. A son, he choked. You wanted a family, Michael, but not the work. I'm not an accessory, nor is he. I've changed, he pleaded. I'm glad, she said, stepping back. But I won't risk my son's future on it. She drove off, leaving Michael behind, his gaze powerless. Emma's article went viral, weaving the ugly footage with Claire's reforms and Elena's dignity. James became a symbol of prejudice, his career ruined. Infant Elegance's reputation soared, sales tripling. The Noah project launched, with Elena on the board. Michael faced private torment. The article haunted him, showing Elena's heroism and his irrelevance. His father's words, "You made a mistake," cut deep. He couldn't focus, haunted by Elena and their unborn son. Her lawyer's letter outlined child support and supervised visitation, fair but impersonal. 3 months later, Elena gave birth to a boy, Arjun, meaning bright light. Her hospital room overflowed with flowers from Claire and colleagues, not Michael. In her nursery, rocking Arjun, the car seat installed and giraffe on the shelf, Elena felt peace. Emma's follow-up article detailed how Infant Elegance's reforms inspired other brands. Elena's ordeal had bettered the world. She looked at Arjun, her ray of light, and knew her life, harder, lonelier, but richer, was hers to shape with love and strength.